Today we will be focusing on stretching out the hip flexors. So opening up our hips is really important because this is where we tend to hold a lot of stress. So there's a muscle called the psoas that's attached to the lumbar spine that activates when you're experiencing stress in the body. So if you notice that when you have tight hips, 9 times out of 10, you probably have low back pain as well. So we have to open up the hips and do different stretches in our hamstrings to then release any of those muscles and compression that we're experiencing in the low back. Not only is that really important, but hips also are attached to the sacral chakra, which is for creativity. So when you're experiencing blockages or any type of roadblocks, it may be because you aren't focusing on your sacral chakra. So through our yoga practice, when you're working on certain poses that allow you to form that alignment in the hips and to have more expansion, then you'll begin to activate your sacral chakra. So what you're going to need today, if you have a yoga mat or a blanket, that's fine. I'm also going to be utilizing my blocks today just to have some extra support because I do have tight hips. So our first pose will be bound angle or butterfly pose. So I'm going to utilize my 2 blocks to place under my hips just to have some elevation, because for those of you that have tight hips as well, this is a really good idea to either utilize a block or a pillow, because if you notice, so when I come off of the block, I feel myself naturally leaning back, and that is because I have the tight hips. So when I'm sitting up on a block or something to elevate my hips above my ankles and my feet, I can feel myself lengthening even more so that I'm having better posture. And then from here, what you can do is you can bring your hands to your ankles so that you allow your shoulders to press down the spine. Shoulders are stacked over the hips. Now, from here, try not to force or resist this opening of your knees. Allow yourself to breathe through it. So just pause for a moment. You can close your eyes. Take a full breath in through the nose. Soft exhale out of the mouth. And take another full breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Let's take another full breath in. This time as you exhale, slowly walk the hands forward, hinging at the hips, so you're keeping a flat back. Your gaze is a little past your feet. Try not to round the head so that you're tilting your chin in towards your chest, softening the shoulders. And take a few more breaths here. Again, just feel for any sensations, especially if you have tight hips. Really breathe through this. And take one last breath, and then slowly walk yourself up. Now from here, as a counter stretch, we're gonna bring the knees together. You can extend one leg out at a time, just to shake it out. Now I'm gonna move myself off of these blocks. I'm gonna come into my next pose, deer pose. So I'm taking my right leg in front of me and I'm making a 90-degree angle so that my knee is in a straight line with my ankle. And then I'm taking the back leg and I'm doing the exact same thing, making a 90-degree angle, flexing both of my feet. Now, if this is too intense for you, you can always bend this back leg, but the goal is, so notice how naturally I'm facing towards a diagonal. I'm gonna frame my front leg so that my torso is parallel to my right leg. And then from here, I'm just gonna pause here for a moment, taking a few breaths. I'm definitely feeling some activation here in my quad, as well as in my left glute. If you want a deeper stretch though, you can come down onto your forearms. relaxing the head. And instead of fighting with the pose, again, find ways to create ease with every exhale. And then on your last exhale, slowly walk your hands in towards the body. Roll yourself all the way up. Come to center. Let's do a counter stretch. Windshield wiper the knees from left to right. And then we'll transition on to the other side. So the left leg comes in front this time, 90 degrees. Right leg behind. Framing that front leg. Taking a few breaths just to adjust. So if you feel, again, like if you feel yourself leaning back, what you can also do is take a pillow or a block, place it under the right glute. So this allows that resistance, so it's helping you to stay lifted, helping with the alignment in the spine, which is really important for opening up the hips. Take another breath, and then slowly walk yourself down onto your forearms if you'd like, totally optional. Now be mindful to not allow your neck to shrug in towards your shoulders. You're still creating space between the ears and the shoulders. Take one last breath. And then slowly walk yourself up. Remove any props that you have, and then windshield wiper your knees from left to right. Now from here, we're gonna transition into a wide-legged straddle. So if you need the pillow under the hips like we did in butterfly pose, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, you'll notice once you see when we're in this pose, how tight your hips are and just how your body is talking to you. So I'm gonna take my blocks in front of me because we are eventually gonna come into a forward fold. So as you're in this wide-legged straddle, I want you to flex the toes so that the toes are pointed up towards the sky. Place your hands beside the hips and kind of open up the chest as your shoulders draw back. Taking a few breaths here. As you're doing this, your navel is pressing in towards the back of the spine. So you're kind of tilting your pelvis down, pressing your hips into the earth. Take another full breath in. And then as you exhale, walk your hands forward. So before I utilize my blocks, as you're pressing your hands down in front of you, the goal here is not to round the spine. So we're not trying to get our head towards the mat. We're just trying to activate our inner groin area, keeping the toes flexed. Feel free to bend the knees. This isn't supposed to be any type of painful process as you're moving through these poses. You're finding that sweet spot and developing a positive relationship with this pose. And then on every exhale, see if you can walk your hands forward a little more. Because I do have tight hips, this is where I am going to utilize my blocks. So I'm placing my forearms onto my blocks and then relaxing my head. And just taking a moment to reconnect with my breath. If you want, you can utilize Ujjayi breath. It's also known as Darth Vader breath. That's in another one of my videos. Feel free to check that out. I'll pin it below. So what you're doing is you inhale through the nose, taking a full expansive breath. And as you exhale, instead of sighing with your mouth open, you're gonna keep your mouth closed. Go ahead, inhale through the nose. Exhale, his sound. And the reason I like to do this in this straddle is because this is really intense for me. So it just kind of helps that energy move through. It's developing heat in my body. to kind of pass through as I continue to stay in this pose. Trying to allow my hips to not be so resistant to this posture. Take another full breath in. And then slowly walk the hands up, taking your time here. Removing the props off to the side. Taking the hands behind the knees, slowly bend them in. You can place the soles of the feet onto the mat and just go ahead and hug your knees into your chest, relaxing your head down. Take a full breath in through the nose and exhale out. And take another full breath in through the nose and exhale, let it out. All right, perfect. From here, we're gonna come into a low lunge. So let's start on our hands and knees to set up. If you have any knee problems, feel free to utilize a blanket. You're gonna take your right leg forward, coming into a 90-degree angle, so your knee is stacked over the ankle. All four corners of the foot is pressed into the earth. And then from here, what you can do is, if you're not as open, you can take some blocks or pillows to either side of that front leg to allow your hips to press down towards the mat as you lengthen through the spine, looking straight ahead in front of you. Taking some intentional breaths here. You can begin to take some fluidity, straightening that front leg and then pressing forward, bending into your lunge. Just moving back and forth as you're breathing. And then pause in the front. Slowly release. And switching sides. Left leg comes up. Make sure you just adjust yourself first before you actually sink your hips down towards the mat. Make sure that the top of the foot is on your mat instead of tucking the toes. And then press the hips in, down towards the mat, drawing the shoulders back, looking straight ahead. Take a full breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. And take another full breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Good. Stay here or moving through, pressing into your lunge, extending the leg back. Try to keep your chest as close to the top of the thigh, just to keep that focus onto your hips and your hamstrings more than your low back. And then slowly make your way back to your low lunge. Take a full breath in, and then bring that leg back. Remove your props, shake it out, just rock your hips from side to side. And then from here, we're gonna set up for pigeon pose. So you're gonna take your right leg back in front of you, start off in that low lunge. Then what's gonna happen is you're gonna heel toe your foot all the way towards the left edge of your mat, slowly coming down onto the hip. Now, for many of you, you may have a lot of space right here under your right thigh and your glute. You can take a block or a pillow to rest the hip onto the prop. Take a few breaths here. Just notice where you're experiencing a lot of tightness. If you'd like a deeper stretch, you can come down onto your forearms. And just notice if you are naturally leaning maybe towards your left side or your right side. Try to shift the weight so that the hips are right over the mat, parallel to the mat. So you're drawing that right hip back as the left hip shifts forward. Take about 2 more breaths. Slowly walk yourself up. Now to release out of this, you can come into downward facing dog and just kind of shake it out. Or you can come onto your hands and knees, taking fire hydrant and just rolling around the leg. And then we'll switch to the other side. So I'm gonna turn around. Left leg comes in front. Wiggle that foot all the way over to the left side, or the right side rather. Slowly coming down onto your mat. Again, utilizing a block or a pillow if you need to under that left leg. Full breath in and exhale it out. Another inhale. As you exhale, settle into the pose. So either stay upright or come down onto your forearms. Take about 2 more breaths here. And last inhale. As you exhale, slowly walk up. Untuck the back foot. Coming into downward facing dog or just into fire hydrant. And shaking it out. Good, and then from here, let's come into a comfortable seat, cross-legged position, easy pose or lotus. Slowly bring your hands to heart center, bow your chin toward your chest. Thank you for sharing in this practice and allowing me to guide you through it. The light, love, truth, and peace that exists within me respects, acknowledges, and honors that which is new. Until we meet again, Ashe.